Welcome everybody. I'm not going to be really doing a match this time. It's actually just going to be a little bit of an informational piece about what has been going on at the big announcement over in Korea. I'm sure a lot of people were either busy, asleep, weren't able to check out Twitter, all these kinds of things, and perhaps haven't had time to jump on websites. So what I'm going to do is just a very quick rundown of what's gone on over in the land of esports, where of course we've had representatives from MLG, ESL, GSL, OSL, all of the alphabet basically has been over in Korea today and was a part of a big announcement along with a lot of very famous faces and of course casters and community members that have been at the wherever it was. I can't actually remember where it was, but wherever it was for the big announcement that has been a little bit hush-hush but has been revealed in part recently on Reddit by Tortellini. Did a wonderful job of well, perhaps showing of some of what's to come, and I'll tell you what, for the most part it was correct. So what we'll do is this is full on, guys. This is just going to be a very rough sort of a quick look at things, so you can then go forth and read for yourself what's going on, so you can understand a bit better. But I am just going to quickly explain what has happened and what is being well, on the radar for the upcoming next few months. In fact, it is starting tomorrow if you really want to get technical. So we'll jump onto this particular screen and have a quick look. The WCS 2013 has basically been announced. Of course, if you're familiar with the previous season of WCS last year, there were a lot of local qualifications for pretty much virtually like all of the countries that have quite a few players, and we of course got to see the the broadcasting of each of these events go around the world. I happened to go to the Australian WCS event over in Sydney. It was a really fun time, and I'm sure a lot of you got to also go to your various locations for some WCS action. Well, it's going to be back, and this time Blizzard is investing a $1.6 million figure in the prize pool, injecting all of that in. It's going to be spread across the all of the various the sort of finals that are going on, and apparently they're going to try and make it so that it runs as deep as possible. Don't want to have a tournament to be too top heavy because of course it is, it's a difficult kind of culture to win back some of your money and that you invest in going into esports events and these kinds of things, which I think is a really good thing. So as you can see from this graphic here, just sort of explaining what's going on, effectively what we'll have is just at the moment a regional sort of thing for Korea, America, and Europe. Now, the reason you may be wondering why of course GSL and OSL and then MLG and ESL people were at this event is that we'll have these particular companies running each of their locational events. So for Korea, season number 1 here that will be starting in April and running till about the start of June will be run by the GSL crew. This will also be next season it'll be run by OSL, and then the season after that will be GSL, or roughly something along those lines. Because of course the two big names in Korea are effectively OSL and GSL at this point. So what Blizzard has done has gotten together with both parties and worked out a nice little deal. Of course, Casper has been involved as well, and just said, all right, we're going to share the load. We're going to have GSL doing this season, OSL this one, blah blah blah. An interesting point to note is that GSL and OSL will broadcast each other's content. So things from, your OSL will not only be broadcast on the OSL stream by Doa and Monte Cristo, it'll also be broadcast on the GSL stream by, well, I'm assuming Tastosis will be doing that as well. So, and then of course the reverse is possible. So Doa tomorrow, he'll be making his comeback into the world of StarCraft 2, just sort of coming back and helping out with the GSL cast of WCS Korea GSL, which is, of course, this first season. And then, we go down to North America, where we've got the American event run by MLG. So those guys will be looking after that kind of content. I'm sure Sundance will be very happy about that. For Europe, of course, one of the premier hosting, well, I suppose, services that have been doing a wonderful job with many of the European events is ESL. They will be looking after each of these European events for this particular year in 2013. So that's effectively how it is going to work. And of course, if you're wondering how this particular section works, of course, you can see that there are 3 seasons. One's going to start in mid-June and end at about mid-August. Then we're going to have another one, season number 3, just at the start of September, running till about the end of November. So you can see that all of these will lead into a final event that we can see just at the edge of each of these here. This is going to be a format where we actually have the top 5 from each of these seasons runs through to the seasonal cross-league tournament, which is going to be a really interesting thing. Now, you will see it's 5 advanced to the season finals, and then we can see also related is that league hosts are available to send a 6th player for a total of 16 in the tournament, and leagues hosting season events. Season final events. That's obviously referring to Korea. And the league structure, players are organized into Premier, Challenger, and Qualifier divisions, initially based on league partner rankings and seeds. So that's just kind of how they're going to organize these kinds of things. As I said, I'm not really going to delve too far into this because it could take a little bit too much time for me to do. Obviously, I just want to keep this short and simple so you guys can see what is going on. So, obviously, when we get to the end of the year, as we can see in this back on this particular picture here, there will be the top 16 points earning players of the year will go through to the BlizzCon Global Finals, where we'll have a world champion crowned. So this is a way that Blizzard is going to sort of start really investing in making sure that there is a much more organized, a very directed kind of, I guess like a story across the year. As you can see here, next year it is going to be 4 seasons, so don't be dismayed by the fact that we're sort of missing a part of the year here. There is going to be 4 seasons starting out from next year. So, of course, a couple of things which people may sort of bring up there is that there is nothing for C. Unfortunately for the C players, such as we've got Moonglade, Pig, Mafia, of course, all those other guys as well, is that it's going to be a little bit difficult for some of them to qualify. Of course, to qualify, if they want to play in the Korean version, they have to get into Code S. I don't really see how that's going to work. Unfortunately, like, while all the guys are wonderful in their own rights, it is going to be very difficult to make it in the Korean part of the WCS. So what I would suspect is that the majority of them will look to try and qualify in the NA events that'll be hosted by the MLG folks. So we can sort of expect that to happen. So the initial part of the of some of the qualifications, from what I understand, is done offline, and then the seasonal final event is run at a studio in the particular country. So of course that means that for MLG there'll be some offline qualifiers, and then if you make it through to the top to the top 16 that goes through to the final event, then you'll have to fly across, of course. So for the C players, we'll hopefully get some guys that will be able to go to some of these events and represent the C region. And in future, we're really hoping that Blizzard will be able to sort out some sort of deal that'll allow us to have our own sort of setup here. But from the interview conducted over on GameSpot by Slasher, it was posed, or maybe it was on the Blizzard website, I can't remember, but it was mentioned, what about C and China and these sorts of things. It was just said, you know what, guys, just hold your horses, we're just trying to get this set up right now, and eventually we'll probably get there. But for the moment, the 3 regions that Blizzard have set up is just because they're already established. We've already got a big studio in Korea. It's 2 studios in Korea, however many studios they've got. We've got MLG that have set up their own studios. We've got in Europe, ESL have done their own work with studios and these kinds of things as well. So they're very established sorts of regions. Whereas of course, China does have some really good leagues, but unfortunately, they're obviously very inward focused, and not too much is known about the China scene when it comes to StarCraft 2. And down here in Australia, whether it be Australia or C in general, there isn't as much of an establishment when it comes to big esports events. So, but certainly we'll be looking to grow that sort of thing, and I really hope that a lot of the C residents will look to that sort of thing and say, you know what, how can I kind of help out with these kinds of things? What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, a couple of big points, of course, as we said, $1.6 million across the event, all of the events. And then the region that you play in. So for example, with whoops, wrong one. There you go. Region number with season number 1, if let's say a Korean player doesn't actually qualify for Code S or OSL, and they're in Code B or whatever. For let's just use that as a very primitive example. They can have the option to play in America, and they can play in the WCS America for the MLG qualifiers. However, for the rest of the year, they have to stay in that region. So a player would have to play in this region. Now, it is important to note that it is not locked by nationality or location or anything like that. So it is possible for Korean players to jump over to play in NA or in EU, these kinds of things. So it is a very interesting, I suppose, a water cooler talking moment will be, will there be too many Korean players playing in the MLG events, all these kinds of things. So I think that'll be a really interesting point to take note of. So as I mentioned, jump onto GameSpot to have a look at the interview with Mike Morhaime about this entire event and what went down, and some really good questions about what's happening, all these kinds of things. You can also have a look at the blog on the Blizzard website, just talking about, well, basically the whole announcement as I've gone through here. And yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little bit of information. If you like these kinds of things, let me know, and I'll certainly do more of them relating to events and big announcements and these kinds of things, just going over it. And of course, I will have a cast coming up, a very, very cool cast between Snoot and Liquid Snoot and Viper from Caronti Esports, whatever it is. That is going to be coming up tonight. Also, of course, make sure you jump onto AfterHoursGaming.tv, vote for me in the So You Think You Could Cast contest, and hopefully I'll get enough votes to go through and win that, because that would be absolutely fantastic, and I would love you all, and I'll give you all a hug. But also tonight, 7 PM, the twitch.tv/The Handsome Nerd Network. I'll be streaming on there. Yes, that's right, the Handsome Nerd Network. It's going to be a bit of fun. We're going to play some either Dota 2 or StarCraft 2. I'm not really sure. We'll have to find out then. And I'll catch you all next time. Very soon. So this game this has been very standard. If you've been used to the way PvT played out in Wings of Liberty, this is all very standard for you. Of course, this is part of the way that this matchup hasn't really changed too much. As we see